So far in this series, we've learned about the purpose of refugee and immigrant foster care and talked about the children and caregivers involved. I'm sure you still have a lot of questions. How long exactly will a foster care child be in your home? How will you communicate with them if your family doesn't speak their language? How will you know what foods to cook? What if it takes some time for your child to trust you? What if their behavior is confusing or overwhelming to you? How will you pay for their food and clothing? These are good and important questions. The goal of this video is to address each of the questions at a basic level so you can make an informed choice about whether to take the next step to become a foster caregiver. Immigrant children in foster care will likely require different parenting strategies than other children in your home. Being separated from a parent is one of the most traumatic experiences a child can endure. And on top of that, they're trying to survive in a place where everyone speaks a different language and very little is familiar. These experiences are so stressful for a child that we can expect they will always behave in ways that we consider typical. That's why Bethany requires every foster parent to be trained in what we call trauma-informed parenting. An immigrant child in foster care might shut themselves in their room and refuse to eat meals with the family. They might lash out at you with their words or bodies in response to your attempts to care for them. The goal of the trainings in trauma-informed parenting is to help you understand how trauma is affecting their behavior and teach you how to respond. In every part of foster care, the key to caring well is patience, flexibility, and persistence. And Bethany's staff will be there to guide you and assist you as you learn how to navigate these challenges.
Just, helping the kids through trauma, I think, is a big part, especially that first week. The ride home, they went from border to maybe, those detention centers to the airplane to a office, and nobody's speaking their language, and then to us, and they're like, where's my family? When am I going to be back with them? And so, our first conversation in the car ride home is always, you're safe with us, and sort of building that trust up. And then too, we get home and, tour the whole house and say, here's where all the food is. Here's the bathrooms here, and
here's your bedroom.
And this is your bedroom, and you can close the door, and just say, like, our house is your house, and, make yourself at home, make yourself feel comfortable.
But your heart isn't worried about all the challenges. Your heart is going out to this child who needs help immediately, right? This child who's sad and needs a hug, this child who needs a warm bed because they're exhausted. They might need a shower and some food because they haven't had dinner yet. And so you forget about a lot of that worry and you jump into action. And that's, I think, what a lot of the foster care is God's grace comes in and fills you with what you need in that moment. And you can spend a whole lot of time worrying about what the challenges are going to be, but they're always going to surprise you anyway, right? Each placement is different. Each kid is different. I often think about those family members, right, who are worried about this child, and they're hoping that they're in a good home. And, what would I want my kids to experience if they had to be in a similar situation, right? What sort of home would I hope that they would land in? And we try to create that kind of environment for these kids, right? I mean, you see, they're just kids, they're kids like any other kids. And it's not so scary when you see those faces and you realize, like, oh, this is just a child, and they have a lot of the same needs that my children have. And I know how to bandage a skinned knee and do all those things. So, I just take those mothering skills and I apply them in this other area.
Another crucial part of successful fostering is overcoming cultural and language barriers. The best way to overcome cultural barriers is to create a connection between your family's culture and the child's culture. We've heard of caregivers who turn on their biological child's favorite Netflix shows, but set the audio to the language of their foster child. Others modified holiday celebrations to blend the traditions of both cultures. Often, foster parents cook meals that combine familiar elements to the caregiver's culture and the culture of the child in their home. You can use similar strategies to overcome language barriers. You don't need to be fluent in the child's language. Even learning a handful of common words can make a child feel welcomed and understood. Some foster parents use a translation app on their phone to help them communicate. Bethany can also provide translation services as needed. Overcoming these barriers is a challenge for sure, but is also so rewarding and even life-changing to build meaningful connections with immigrant children. And I'll say it once more. The key is patience, flexibility, and persistence. Caregivers for immigrant foster children receive a stipend to pay for food, clothing, and other expenses. Your child will receive medical and legal services as well as mental health therapy directly from Bethany. They will also attend a special school where they will receive individualized education.
The nice thing about working with Bethany with the Transitional Foster Care Program is that they handle everything that goes into the case of our kids. So the kids get school, they get their meetings with the lawyers, they get counseling, medical care, everything is done. We just take them to the Bethany office, and it's essentially like one-stop shop for the kids, which is nice.
Short-term immigrant foster care, as the name suggests, is a very short and temporary form of care. A child will be in your home for as little as 2 weeks or as long as several months. It's a short stay with a long impact. I can assure you that it will never be easy to say goodbye to the child you welcome into your home, but you will experience the joy of knowing you made the child feel safe and loved during an incredibly difficult period of their lives, and that they are going to be reunited with their family soon.
It's always bittersweet. You know, we say goodbye, and we usually know they're going to a great home. They're going back to their family. They want to be with their family, right? One of my little ones at the airport, I'm waving goodbye, and he just looked over his shoulder at me and just gave me one last wave. And there are almost always some tears when we say goodbye. No matter how long they were with us, there's some tears. But we also know it's good. It's good for them to be reunited. We've done something right? If we care when they leave, that means we've loved them well. We've allowed them into our hearts. You know, if there's some tears when they leave, we've done something right.
In this series, we've covered only the basics of what it's like to be a foster caregiver. When you say yes to fostering through Bethany, you'll receive an in-depth training from Bethany's staff on every aspect of the foster care experience. We will walk with you every step of the journey. If you're ready to take the next step toward becoming a short-term foster family for immigrant children, please go to bethany.org/short-term-foster to get started. Or join me in the next video where I'll describe the practical steps you'll need to take to get started as a foster caregiver.